it, Jimmy. You had something about trios?
Yeah, and I've actually been hanging on to this for about 3 months now. I was going to do it on one of my solo shows, but as I thought about it, I thought it would be something interesting to talk to you about. So going back to the Kansas City Chiefs, you have Mahomes, you have Hill, and you have Kelsey. It's hard for me to say that this isn't going to be the greatest QB-involved trio of all time in the history of the NFL, because each one of these players is the best at something. You have Mahomes, who many would say is the best quarterback. You would have Kelsey, who many would say is the best tight end. And you have Hill, who many would say is the fastest, most dangerous wide receiver that we've ever seen. There have been a lot of fast receivers, but someone who's able to put it together the way that he has at his age, we haven't seen before. So at the end of it all, this may be the number one trio of all time. But we've seen some great ones in the history of the NFL. So I had sent you a list of...
Checked it twice.
Yeah, checked it twice. And I wanted you to rank...
Who's naughty or not.
Exactly. The greatest trio right now of all time in the NFL from 5th to 1st.
Oh, man. I am struggling with... I struggle with making that decision because I feel like we're missing somebody.
I do too.
I feel like we're missing someone. So the list you gave me, you got Aikman, Smith, and Irving.
Mm-hmm.
Bradshaw, Stallwort, and Swan. I didn't really get to watch them play. Montana, Craig, and Rice. I did see them. Warner, Faulk, Holt, Bruce.
Yeah.
Either or.
Yeah. Interchangeable.
Interchangeable, and I think I did watch them. Kelly, Thomas, and Reed. And that's for the Bills. Peyton Manning, Edgerrin James, and Harvin Marison and Reggie Wayne.
Correct.
And then lastly, we have
Brees, Kamara, and Thomas.
Brees, Kamara, Thomas.
Throw them in there for fun.
Staubach, Dorsett, and Pearson. Elway, Terrell Davis, and McCaffrey or Rod Smith.
Yes.
I feel like we're missing someone. Like, I was trying to figure out, who did A.A. Ron have as his three-way when he won his Super Bowl? It was him.
It wasn't Ahman Green, was it, as the running back? And receiver?
No, it was Brandon Jackson was his running back at the time. His wide receiver was Greg Jennings.
Nah.
Good Lord, they didn't have anybody in the run game that year. That was really brutal. That tells you something. I guess there's a lot of people that can't tell me anything about Matt Stafford in his career, because if Aaron Rodgers could win a Super Bowl with no running game and only 1,000-yard wide receiver.
Well, that's because Green Bay had a winning tradition.
Oh, yeah, that's a valid point. That is a valid point. Oh, man. Okay, so number 5.
Yes, number 5.
Number 5, I'm going to look at this list, and I'm going to just point around, spin in circles, because we have to also add Mahomes, Kelsey, and...
No, leave them out, because they're young. I say when it's all said and done, they'll be number 1, but leaving them aside...
okay.
Yes.
Bring me them. Okay, number 5, I'm going to go with... So I'm going to go with the ones that I've watched. That eliminates a lot of them, but we're going to go with number 5 at Manning, Edgerrin James, and I'd say Harvin Marison.
Okay.
Definitely. That year they were good. They were really good. Number 4, The Greatest Show on Turf. They were ridiculously awesome. I'm going to go with Warner, Faulk, and Isaac Bruce. I think that was a very fun one to check out. Number 3. Oh, man. This is where it gets tough. But we'll go with it. Montana, Craig, and Rice. How many yards did Craig put up when he was a back?
I'm not sure.
I don't feel like he was... I don't remember... As a kid, I don't recall him being just ridiculously ridiculous. You know what I'm saying? So... Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead. I'll put them at 3 just because I know they won a lot of Super Bowls together, especially Jerry Rice is on that list. So they got to be on there. Number 2, as a 3-way, we're going to go ahead and throw in Elway, Terrell Davis, and Ed McCaffrey.
I knew you would say that.
They were.
I knew that
Terrell
was one of your
Davis
favorites.
for 2,000 yards. They were a ridiculously good team, and he was a Super Bowl MVP.
Yeah, back-to-back
that tells you
champs.
something.
Right.
So, and they were back to back. So you got to give them that. And so number 1, I got to give it to Aikman, Smith, and Irving.
Okay.
Yards wise, Smith, career guy. Irving I actually liked Irving a lot as a kid. He was probably one of my favorite wide receivers growing up. And Troy Aikman's from Oklahoma, so I had to go ahead and show him a little bit of love. Good old Hennessy.
Okay.
So we'll do that.
All right, so number 5 for me, I'm going to go with the Bills, Jim Kelly, Thurman Thomas, and Andre Reed. All 3 in the Hall of Fame. Yes, 4 straight Super Bowls. I mean, which is a feat in and of itself, even though they didn't bring one home.
Getting there is hard.
Yeah.
Enough.
But that team, it was Marv Levy, I think, was so well coached. They were so much better than everyone else. Is just bad luck. But they were a fantastic trio. Thurman Thomas out of Oklahoma State, as a matter of fact. Number 4, I'm going to go with Bradshaw, Stallwort, and Swan. Because, to my knowledge, up until that point, there hadn't been this type of wide receiver duo before that was this prolific. And they won multiple championships as well. I know Bradshaw has 4. Did he get all 4 of those with Stallwort and Swan?
If I'm correct, yes.
Playing with the steel curtain behind you, no salary cap, no free agency, etc. I get all that. But they're my number 4. And that's why I had the Bills at 4 originally, but they didn't win any of those championships. So I put them at 5 and then put the Steelers trio at 4. Number 3, greatest show on turf with Warner, Faulk. And I was always more of an Isaac Bruce fan than Torrey Holt.
Me too.
I don't know why. Even though I think Holt was more athletic, Bruce
was a better wide receiver to me.
Yeah, a better complete receiver. And the fear that they instilled in teams with that offense was unparalleled. And the things that they did with Marshall Faulk at the running back position really hadn't been done before as well up until that point. So I put them at 3. Number 2, got to go with my team, 49ers, Montana, Craig, and Rice, because you have 2 GOATs on that roster. They changed offensive football with the West Coast system thanks to Bill Walsh.
Yep.
And I don't know how many of those championships Craig won with them. Because I know Rice, he won 5.
I think he won
or was it 4?
All of his with them.
Oh, okay, yeah. So, I mean, again, Rice is still considered the GOAT of wide receivers. Montana was considered the GOAT before Tom Brady. I mean, just an all-time team dominated the 80s. And number 1, I echo exactly what you said. The Cowboys, Aikman, Emmett, and Irvin. And the reason why is this. Each one was nearly perfect at their position in some fashion. You had Aikman, who to me, he was like the perfect game manager. And I know that has sort of a bad luster to it to call a quarterback a game manager, but not in this sense. He didn't play out of the scheme. He didn't beat himself, is what I mean. He always seemed to make the right play at the right time. So Aikman, and they earned it too, because they were 1-15 his rookie season. Mm-hmm. To go from that to 3 Super Bowls, so he was the perfect game manager. Emmitt Smith, the perfect vision. Wasn't ever the biggest, the strongest, or the fastest, but just could see things before they happened. He was clairvoyant in that regard. That's why he's the all-time leading rusher. So Emmitt had the perfect vision, and Michael Irvin, the perfect playmaking ability and the perfect personality. That's the kind of personality, he sort of had like some magic in him that can really popularize your league, and I think that he helped them to do that. So as much as I hated the Cowboys just from being a 49ers fan, I loved each of these 3. I hated Emmitt, but I loved him at the same time. I had nothing but love for Michael Irvin because he was a wide receiver. That's what I wanted to be if ever I played football. And Troy Aikman, like you said, an Oklahoma boy, I couldn't root against him either, even though I rooted against his team. So somehow that worked in my mind. But you got it. Number 1, it's the Cowboys. That is the most iconic trio in the history of the NFL.
Yes, so Rice and Craig both won 3 Super Bowl rings with the 49ers.
And Craig had a 1,500-yard season in 1988.
Yes, he did. He
so
had one.
He had some spots. He had some greatness.
He only had 3,000-yard seasons, though, in his career, which I thought he'd have more. But I get it. No double-digit touchdown seasons, though, at running back, which is quite unfortunate, but at the same time, they're monstrous. And so, I give that trio for Dallas together. They were together for so long too. Mm-hmm. And full disclosure, everybody, I said this already. I'm only doing the ones that I visibly got to see because of Jimmy mentioning it to me today. That was one idea he had. Because if I had more time, I'd probably be looking at some of the olders.
Because you feel like there's someone we're missing. There's a trio we're missing.
I feel like there's a trio that we're missing, and I also feel like I didn't do the Staubach, Dorsett, Pearson team. I didn't do them enough justice.
Right.
I didn't give enough love probably to Jim Kelly, which I watched Jim Kelly and them, but I don't think they were better than the 5 that I picked. But I feel like Bradshaw, Stallwort, and Swan might have been it. I would have to do more research to really dig into them. But
we need like an old head who watched, who's seen the history of the NFL who could probably tell us. Give us their insight.
Gotta dig into that. So we want your opinion on that. Let us know how off base we are, or how off base Jimmy is when it comes to that.
I'm on base. I'm on third.
He's on base. Actually, he's way off base. So that makes sense. So Jimmy.